Welcome to Crime Maze. In this video we are going to talk about the story of Johnny Gosch. Before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to Crime Maze channel for future updates. John David Gosch, November 12, 1969, September 5, 1982, was a West Des Moines, Iowa, paperboy who vanished without a trace between the hours of 6 and 7 a.m. On September 5, 1982, he is suspected of being kidnapped. There have been no arrests as of 2021. And the case is now deemed cold, but it is still open. Johnny's mother, Noreen Gosch, claimed in 1997 that he escaped his captors and paid her a visit with an unnamed man. She stated that her son told her that he was a victim of a pedophile organization and that he was tossed aside when he was too old, but that he afterwards feared for his life and lived under a false identity because he didn't feel comfortable returning home. Gosch's father, John, who divorced Noreen in 1993, has publicly declared that he has no idea if such a visit took place. Many people have hypothesized that the visit did happen, but that it was someone else impersonating Johnny. Authorities have yet to locate Gosch or validate Noreen Gosch's story, thus his fate remains a source of curiosity, conspiracy theories, and debate. When his mother claimed to have discovered images of Gosch in captivity on her doorstep in 2006, the matter drew a lot of attention. Some of the images were purported to be of children from a Florida case. However, one of the boys in the photos was never identified. The boy, according to Noreen Gosch, is Johnny. Gosch's photo was one of the first to appear on milk cartons as part of a nationwide search for missing children. Johnny Gosch, who lived in the West Des Moines suburb of West Des Moines, left home before dawn on Sunday, September 5, 1982, to start his paper route. Despite the fact that it was typical for Johnny to wake up his father to assist with the route, he only brought Gretchen, the family's tiny dachshund, with him that morning. 6 other paper carriers for the Des Moines Register later claimed to have observed Gosch picking up his newspapers at the paper dump. It was Gosch's last sighting, which was confirmed by many witnesses. Mike, a neighbor, said he saw Gosch chatting to a stocky man in a blue two-tone Ford Fairmont with Nebraska plates from his bedroom window, but he didn't know what they were talking about. Mike observed another man following Gosch as he walked home. John Rossi, another eyewitness, noticed a man in a blue car chatting to Gosch and felt something was wrong. He examined the license plate, but was unable to recollect the number. "I keep praying that I'll wake up in the middle of the night and see the number on the license plate as clearly as night and day," he added. Rossi was hypnotized and revealed some of the numbers as well as the fact that the plate was from Warren County, Iowa. Customers along Johnny's route began calling John and Noreen Gosch, Johnny's parents, to complain about undeliverable papers. Around 6 a.m., John did a quick search of the area. He located Johnny's wagon full of newspapers 2 blocks from their house right away. The Gosches called the West Des Moines Police Department right away to report Johnny missing. Noreen has been critical of what she regards as a sluggish response time from authorities, as well as the policy at the time that Gosch could not be labeled as a missing person until 72 hours had passed. In both public pronouncements and her book Why Johnny Can't Come Home, the police did not arrive to accept her report for at least 45 minutes, according to her estimate. The authorities initially believed Gosch was a runaway, but then altered their minds and indicated that he had been kidnapped. However, they were unable to come up with a plausible motive. They found very little evidence and made no arrests in relation to the case. Noreen Gosch claims her son was observed in Oklahoma a few months after his disappearance in September 1982, when a kid shouted for help before being taken away by 2 guys. Several private detectives have aided the Gosches in their quest for their son throughout the years. Jim Rothstein, a retired New York City police detective, and Ted Gunderson, a retired FBI branch chief in Los Angeles, are among them. Gosch's photograph appeared on milk cartons across America in 1984, alongside that of Juanita Rafaela Estevez. They were the second and third abducted children to have their plights exposed in this fashion. Etten Patz was the first. Eugene Martin, a Des Moines area paperboy, vanished under similar circumstances on August 12, 1984. He vanished while distributing newspapers on Des Moines' South Side. Despite the fact that authorities were unable to establish a link between the 3 incidents, Noreen Gosch claims that she was directly notified of the kidnapping a few months before it occurred by a private investigator who was looking for her son. The kidnapping would happen the second weekend in August 1984, and it would be a paperboy from Des Moines' South Side, she was told. Case of wire fraud. Robert Herman Meyer, 19, of Saginaw, Michigan, wrote Noreen Gosch a letter in 1985. The letter was signed Samuel Forbes, Dakota, and Meyer, posing as Dakota, claimed to be a guard at a motorcycle club when Gosch's kid went missing in September 1982. According to Meyer, Gosch's son was abducted as part of the club's massive child slavery operation. According to the FBI, Meyer asked the Gosches for $11,000 and received it. Meyer also demanded an additional $100,000 as well as a commitment to return their kid. FBI investigators apprehended Meyer near the Canadian border in Buffalo, and he was eventually charged with wire fraud. Gosch's son was sold to a man Meyer described as a high-level drug dealer residing in Mexico City, according to the letter. Despite the allegations of deception, Noreen Gosch apparently trusted Meyer's word and later chastised the FBI, claiming that the arrest warrant against Meyer ruined her and her husband John's credibility with anyone willing to pay a ransom for their son. In the year 2000, Gosch self-published a book called Why Johnny Can't Come Home, based on original investigation by multiple private investigators and her son's visit. The book gives her understanding of what her son went through. Gosch reported finding images placed at her front door on September 1, 2006, some of which she shared on her website. 3 boys are bound and gagged in one color photograph. She claims a black and white photo shows 12-year-old Johnny Gosch with his mouth gagged, hands and feet tied, and a human mark on his shoulder. A third image depicts a man, who appears to be dead, and has something around his neck. The man, according to Mrs. Gosch, was one of the perpetrators that abused my kid. Gosch then admitted that the first 2 photographs were from a child pornography website. Des Moines police received an anonymous letter on September 13. Gentlemen, someone has made a heinous joke on a bereaved mother. The photograph in question is not of her kid, but of 3 boys in Tampa, Florida, in 1979-80, who are competing in an escape race. The Hillsborough County, FL, Sheriff's Office conducted an inquiry into that photograph. There were no charges filed, and no evidence of misconduct was found. Zelva was the investigation's lead detective. This allegation should be simple to disprove. The specifics of the letter are real, according to Nelson Zelva, who worked for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in the 1970s, and he also investigated the black and white in 1978 or 1979. Before Gosch's disappearance, I interrogated the youngsters, and they stated there was no coercion or touching, Zelva adds, adding that I could never prove a crime. When challenged for verification that this was the identical photo from the nearly 3-decade-old investigation, Zelva was unable to produce any. Only 3 boys in the photos were identified by law authorities, according to the documentary film Who Took Johnny, 2014, but not the one presumed to be Johnny. Noreen Gosch is still convinced that the photos are of her son. Paul A. Bonacci, then 21 years old, informed his attorney John DeCamp in 1989 that he had been kidnapped as a youngster and compelled to participate in Gosch's kidnapping. When John DeCamp met with Bonacci, he was convinced that he was telling the truth. He later saw Noreen and told her things he could only know from chatting with her son. According to Noreen, Johnny had a birthmark on his chest, a scar on his tongue, and a burn scar on his lower thigh. According to him, while a description of the birthmark had been widely distributed, information regarding the scars had not. Johnny had a stammer when he was upset. According to Bonacci, Bonacci has not been interviewed by the FBI or local police because they do not believe he is a reliable witness in the case. Interest of the country. Noreen Gosch grew increasingly vocal about the inadequacy of law enforcement's investigation of missing children cases, which sparked national interest in the issue. In 1982, she founded the Johnny Gosch Foundation, through which she visited schools and spoke at seminars about sexual predators' tactics. She advocated for the Johnny Gosch Bill, state legislation that would require police to respond to reports of missing children immediately. Iowa enacted the bill in 1984, and Missouri and 7 other states followed suit with similar or identical legislation. Noreen Gosch spoke about organized pedophilia and its suspected role in her son's abduction at Senate hearings on organized crime in August 1984. She started getting death threats. Gosch also testified before the U.S. Department of Justice, which funded the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children with $10 million. President Ronald Reagan welcomed Gosch to the White House for the dedication ceremony. The documentary Who Took Johnny was released in 2014. Interviews with Gosch's parents are included in the film. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.